welcome to another Photoshop tutorial. I'm Julie Powell, and this episode I'm going to take you through how I edited my latest piece of digital art, which I've called Mystical Energies. So I actually started with an image in Lightroom, which I then brought in to Photoshop and duplicated it, just because I generally always duplicate. I never work on my base layer. Then first things first, I wanted to do a little bit of cleanup on my model Rochelle, and there's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can do a frequency separation action. There's lots out there that you can use. It doesn't do too bad of a job. There's other various different bits and pieces that you can get. There's various actions that are around that'll allow you to smooth it, but they tend to look a bit plastic, so I don't really like to use many of them. The way that I tend to do a cleanup and really smooth out the features, it's a way I've been using for a while, and it's pretty easy, simple, and it works pretty much every time. So start off with a layer and duplicate that 2 times. Get rid of the top lot, copy, go to your first one, go to filter and apply a Gaussian blur to 10 pixels. Let that run through, and then change that mode to lighten. Then go to your top mode, top layer, and do another Gaussian blur, this time to 25 pixels. And set that to darken. Now, as you can see, it looks really bad. What you do then is you do a stamp layer, so Control Shift Alt and E, and that will merge everything below onto a whole brand new layer. You can then drop these 2 layers out, and this one, if you change your opacity until just where you think the skin is how you like it. Don't worry about the eyes at this point in time. Just the skin, just has a soft glow. Then using a layer mask and a small soft brush set to 100%, and I'll just go in so you can see it, you can then go through and mask out the eyes, so you'll bring the sharpness back in the eyes. They may have been a bit hazy before, but now you can bring the sharpness back, and Rochelle has these mesmerizing eyes that are just gorgeous. So go through there, make sure you get the eyes, and pick up a little bit on the edge of the nose. If you drop your brush down to say about 70%, and you can bring back the detail on the lips. If you zoom out, change your opacity back up to 100, increase your brush size, and you can go through and you can put the detail back into her hair and her fingers, her dress, and anything else that you might like to put the detail back into. Your earring, her necklace, and you can go back and you can adjust that layer. If you want to make it a bit softer, you can do it that way, and the eyes and the mouth will still stay nicely sharp. And it's just a bit of a balancing act. If you go a bit too far, it just looks fake and plastic. You've still got to keep it realistic and still be able to see the pores, but just have it nice and soft, roughly about 30%. And then if you merge it all onto its own layer. If you've still got a few touch-ups that you might want to go and do, you can get the healing brush, or the healing brush, or one of the others, and you can still do a little bit of a touch-up here and there. One might argue that you'd be better off doing it beforehand, which you possibly would. You can use the patch tool if you like for some of the bigger areas. And just do a little clean up like so. Then what we're going to do now, I've been playing around with my crystal ball, and as you can see, it really doesn't do very nice things to portraits. So what I'm going to do is go into my elliptical marquee tool, holding down shift, use the space bar to move it, let's try that again without the feathering on it being so high. I'll try maybe 25 pixels. And then I'm going to go and blur that. So do a radial blur maybe, and do a bit of a, I'll keep it as a spin, do it best. And you can keep playing around until you're perfectly happy with how much blue you've got on it. I then went and did a colour fill, which is just a matter of putting a solid colour straight over, of which I just chose, need to unselect that. Then did a colour fill of which was just red. And it just helped bring out, I had a red snoot on this sheet, but it just helped bring out the red highlights that we had on the filter. Then brought in, I've got these red fractal energy bolt things that actually found it being quite cool. I literally just opened it up, dragged it over, dropped it straight over the top. I changed it to hard light. I could have left it at normal, but it was just a bit, wasn't overly happy with that, so I changed it to hard light, and then I masked it out over her face and hands because I really didn't like that where that was there. I then brought in another bolt that we had and put it over the top of the crystal ball, but of course it was purple. I didn't really like that, so I did a hue saturation and changed the colour so that I got more of a red colour, so you can sort of play around with that until you get something that you're happy with. So I preferred that to be a bit more of a red colour. Then I thought I really liked those energy fractals, so I put in some more, changed them again to hard light and dropped the opacity right down. If you were to have a look at them on their own, this is what they look like. So they're just sprays of red and yellow paint that that is just all over it, but it just comes up real treat on this particular piece, so I really like those. So I put all that back in. I then put in a layer over the top. This is just a texture layer, which is just a gold, just sort of gold paints and flecks and stuff like that all over it. So I set that to soft light, and I masked out the areas across her face and that where I thought it was just a bit much, and I dropped that down to 50%. And then I put this other texture layer over the top, which gave a lovely golden glow to everything. If you had to have a look at that on its own, Again, it's just a lovely golden mishmash of various bits and pieces. So I changed that to soft light and dropped that down to 50%, and that's pretty much the image finished. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and I hope you got something out of it. Please don't forget to like it and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.